Stay tuned. If you're just tuned in, you're watching Namibia Connects right here on NBC1. Now, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources has returned to the country following a benchmark study visit to the Republic of Ghana undertaken from the 8th to the 12th of December 2025. During the benchmark exercise, the committee held engagements with the First Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, the Minerals Commission, the National Petroleum Authority, Ghana Gas and the Forestry Commission. The focus was on examining policy frameworks, legislative instruments, institutional arrangements and enforcement mechanisms that support the sustainable management of natural resources while safeguarding natural wealth for the benefit of citizens. We are now joined in studio by the chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources, Dr. Toby Aupindi, to reflect on the visit and its implications for governance, accountability and sustainable resources management in Namibia. Dr. Aupindi, thank you so much for being with us here on Namibia Connects.
Thanks for having me in this 11th hour on Christmas, almost Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Now, Chairperson, this was a broad benchmark visit covering mining, energy, forestry and land governance. What gap in Namibia's natural resource oversight was this visit intended to address?
I think, first of all, you have to look at what is, let me just tell you a little bit about what the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources entails. It entails oversight and responsibility of all natural resources in Namibia, being fishery, marine, forestry, agriculture, mines, energy, oil, gas, and many other related natural resources in Namibia, including tourism. So our responsibility now is to maintain, ensure that ecological processes, natural resources, beneficiation, value addition, and industry development are sustainably done and best practices are optimized for the future, current and future benefit of Namibian people. So going out to Ghana really was part of what we call parliamentary exchange program, benchmarking visits, where we go out and meet our colleagues in both the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana and their various standing committees, and the industries, as you just mentioned, and the ministries, which are in charge, of course, of policy direction, so that we can learn. Namibia, of course, doesn't have, it's not, I wouldn't call it gaps. I would call it a new kid on the block. Because if you look at Namibia at independence, there's a lot of contextualization that went into policy framework, legal framework, but new dynamics are actually changing the way we do things, the way we think, and if we do not, if you don't shift the ground that you are standing on beneath, you'll be left by market opportunity. So you have to make sure that you are always current.
Now, having engaged multiple institutions in Ghana, what common thread did you observe in how they govern different natural resources under one framework?
Now, if you look at it from a framework, you have the legal framework, you have the institutional framework, and you have the strategic framework of managing commodity. Now, Ghana has been in the game for so many years, in particularly the commodity of gold. They have been in there, but they've stepped up their commodity strategic framework and intent and legislative framework. What they do is that they don't only literally mine the gold, they go ahead and downstream it into refining it and exporting it really in either in semi, product or otherwise finished product. That is what Ghana has done in most of the time. If you look at, for example, they've had big oil play discoveries in the mid-2000s, in the Jubilee oil blocks. I was privileged to have known those and having been in that industry then. They don't only take the oil and send it to international markets like Dubai or Switzerland or New York for trading. They actually trade it themselves for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. But most importantly, they do it sustainably and the market benefits local Ghanaian. It's not, they they capacitated the market so aggressively that almost everywhere you go into, I've been in all those industries, met various MPs, ministers, CEOs, authorities and commissions. The market is so prepared and trained. The professionals that you are meeting there are Ghanaians. So if you look at the strategic framework within the way they are managing these natural resources, truly, there's no room really for foreign manipulation. And I feel that this is where now the benchmarking falls into place and become really strategic learning curve for Namibia. Because we are a new kid on the block. I mean, it's just the other day we have made petroleum discoveries. I mean, and from my own experience, I don't think, having been in the petroleum industry, I don't think we'll see any barrel before 2030, for example, because I feel like a lot needs to be done. And I must say with humility that what Her Excellency the President, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, is doing, her intentions are very, very good, of trying really that, saying business unusual, trying to separate things and experimenting new formulas. But this is where we come in, all of us as a country and as a parliament, and to now complement those efforts, ensure that this institutionally it is correct. For example, if you look at the president has removed the upstream oil and gas to her office. Is the market opportunity been taken to, you know, the bull by its horn, so that industry players are coming in, they're having their technical advisory committees, they are shooting their data, but the institution itself, the institutional setup, is it sustainably set up correctly? And I think the president was right to bring it to her office. But now the completion of the institutional development must happen. And then you have other things like strategic commodities and products like uranium. We are the third largest producer of the uranium ore. Now, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, countries that are producing uranium are supposed to actually create an industry, a nuclear industry, in their own countries for friendly purposes, being whether it's nuclear medicine, nuclear energy, nuclear oil, and create economic opportunity. There is so much you can do around the nuclear industry, but we don't. We just mine the ore and send it to other people to add value to it. And if you look at NDP 6, which is really the transition to ending our great vision that our founding president has put into place, Vision 2030, because NDP 6 is the one that runs across that line. If you look at it, you could see a lot of beneficiations, mineral beneficiation, uranium beneficiation. That word comes up, even the title itself talks about beneficiation, you know, and those are words that the president has personally chosen so that she can inspire a new generation of new thinking, new strategic direction, and new systems and new vision, so that we can add more value to this economy. We need to add more value to this economy.
After the visit, the benchmark study visit, do you think that we are doing enough as a nation to get Namibians involved in our natural resources?
No, we're not doing enough. But yes, remember, we are a baby, and the baby must grow. There was a lot of processes that has to happen in terms of natural resources, and we must be intentional. And again, I do compliment the president when she said we mustn't look like we are beggars. Because if you look at some of the industry players that we have, they're acting like somehow they're so cold and scared and not ready to be ruthless and take risks. I mean, I'm sorry, if you have not taken any risk, you have done nothing in your life. You need to take calculated strategic risks. And that's why if you look at these benchmarks, when we are sitting with those industries, CEOs of Ghana National Petroleum Authorities, Petroleum Commission, Mineral Commission, and all the other commission, is really to learn as to what were the mistakes that they made, where are they now, how can we emulate. And when we come back, we'll present our report. The committee will have a chance to interrogate the report, and then it will be introduced to the National Assembly in the chamber. MPs will get an opportunity to actually read the report, debate the report, enrich the report. And once they pass that report, they will then, the government will then be notified to ensure that it's incorporated in their strategic program. It literally becomes legally obligatory for government to incorporate those findings within their operational framework. So yes, Namibians are not involved generally in their own natural resources. I think there's a lot of corporate fear. There's also a lot of markets that are exclusively not serving our people. And I've always said this publicly, that you cannot just keep regulating the market for tax transfer program, while people in their totalities have no access to the market. Whether it's, so what you need to do, if the market is not working for our people, what do we need to do? We need to change the market in its entire institutional context, so that more people have more access to more markets in more ways. You can't just have an exclusive club of few people who have access to markets while the general public is lavishing in poverty and hopelessness. We must create market opportunities. And part of natural resource management, prudent management for current and future benefit, is to ensure that we create laws that are going to empower our people, is to ensure that we incorporate everyone, no matter who they are, where they come from, as long as they are Namibians, particularly black Namibians, who have been deprived by markets or because of past colonial laws and legacies that are still here today. I can tell you right now, access to market, for example, financial market or capital market, is still very much subjective and racist. And when are we actually going to go after those markets so that those markets start responding to our need? And then you have the issues of cooperating with Ghana. And I'm happy that the current Minister the Minister of International Cooperation, Honorable Selma, Musavi Ashbala, was actually our ambassador in Ghana, and she knows the market so very well. She's a guru of diplomacy. And I could see us cooperating in a very big way, because Ghana has been around on the global stage for so many years. The first country to gain independence in Africa. They went through the growing pain. For example, they have refinery there. They're refining, whether you're talking about the gold commodity, or they're refining even petroleum commodities. Namibia is just coming onto the stage. We haven't even taken our first barrel out of the well. Now, can we, for example, cooperate with them to gain some of those capabilities to come here in Namibia, so that we can also provide the beneficiation policy and fulfill much needed value economy to our country? And we must do it without favor and without fear, because the fear is really destroying, I think, our country, if you look at what's happening. So there's a lot we can cross-pollinate as two countries and two parliaments. And Natural Resource Standing Committee is very much intentional about what we need to achieve.
Now, Ghana's institutions appear to operate with clear mandates and strong enforcement powers. Yeah. In Namibia, where do our institutions struggle most? Clarity of mandate? Is it coordination or enforcement?
Coordination, fear, and also really mismanagement. Mismanagement is going on. If you look at companies like that are supposed to be really at the forefront of these issues, like NAMCO, has been in a mess, has made subsequent losses, has been in the news for all the wrong reason. I'm happy.
Until recently.
Yeah, until recently. I'm so happy that Honorable Maureen Hindamwende is at least there at a caretaking level, because she does carry with a set of pedigree, at least, to calm down the temperatures and maybe bring about some stability and sustainability. So it is a question of mismanagement. Accountability lacks public institution. I don't know what leaders sometimes are doing. We lack accountability to ensure that we are in service for the people of Namibia. We're not in service for ourselves. And when we set strategic objective, and you have certain objective like NDP 6, we need to achieve it. And if we don't achieve it, we need to hold people to account. I keep talking sometimes when we're in Parliament. We keep appropriating money in Parliament because that's the constitutional mandate of Parliament, to appropriate money to the various branches of government, whether it's the judiciary, whether it's the executive, whether it's the legislature itself. But they have not accounted for what we have appropriated last year. There are institutions that are even in the backlog of financial accountability. Now, why should you keep appropriating money to a dead institution that has not accounted for what you have given them? And those are the deficiencies that are happening in our market today, that are destroying market opportunities, confidence. If you look at Ghana, there's a clear mandate. Institutions are held to account. People are questioned tough. You know, there's no tough talk that doesn't break friendships. For example, one of the issues that is confronting, like the Namibian Mineral Corporation, is the small miners. We leave them out there to just suffer like they don't exist, like they are not Namibians. But yet they are making a meaningful contribution to the country. But you know what happened in Ghana? They have set up systems within those ministries to deal with small miners. And now, this year, the financial year end 2025, the small miners in Ghana, in terms of their contribution to GDP, have surpassed the main mining in terms of revenue.
Wow.
They have made more billions combined than the conventional mining. So that is not something to play around with, because we have people who are in those communities who can add so much value, and these are things we can learn from Ghana and really, truly develop our country. We have a great country. We have a lot of opportunities in terms of mineral resources and other resources.
What would it take for us as a nation to get there?
I feel the vision has been great. The Vision 2030 has been great. I feel that the leader that we have elected to lead us through this moment, Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, is very, very clear. But I also feel that us who are now below her cannot afford to be complacent. We need leadership that is intentional, that is ruthless, that is not going to apologize for our way of living and our way of turning opportunities, like a situation, into a market opportunities. And I think probably that's where Ghana is winning in a very, very big way, because they are not apologizing. Everywhere I went, for example, when I went to the National Petroleum Authorities, from the issue of the mineral, the oil and gas, the gas, the oil is sucked out of the wells in the Jubilee productions. Instead of, when it comes out, instead of flaming out the gas, Ghana Gas is already there with their piping line, hundreds of kilometers, to literally pipe it to onshore for downstream, again, refining, and turn it into various products, like whether it's LNG, LPG, and other other industrial gas products for either household use, industrial use, hospital use. So they have no shortage whatsoever, because they are using their own gas. And again, the oil is coming out. It goes to a petroleum refinery. They refine it, and they're creating so much value there. And the people who are there are actually Ghanaian. I have not seen foreigners there. I say this, I respect the expertise that some of the foreigners can bring to the table, but I can also say that some of the countries have not optimized the opportunities that foreigners can bring to us, and then allow Namibians to actually continue with the show. And there it's been lackluster. So when we were at the ministry, they have a highly sophisticated technological system that monitors the oil and the gas right from the barrel that comes out of the well. The ministry itself has got a monitoring system right from the well.
So it's accounted for all the way.
Straight into the pipe, straight into the storage, and straight into the truck, into the refinery, straight into the truck, straight into the petrol station. They can even tell at the ministry a particular petrol station in Kumasi. They can tell in this petrol station there's so much liters of petroleum. That is where they can tell you, oh, this area, this petroleum, this service station is not selling enough. What's wrong? Oh, the country now is running low in terms of the capacities that are within the market. The minister will then take it to Parliament and inform the President that Parliament needs to probably marshal some resources. So they are dealing with real economics. That's why I always say that in terms of commodities, in terms of economy and commodity and managing our natural resources, scientific processes, technical processes must speak, not opinions. I see sometimes people are airing their own opinions. There is a great market opportunity, but they are airing their own opinion. It's like I went to Omaheke there. When I went to visit this whole mineral, the exploration in Omaheke of uranium. Now, people I'm only hearing opinion. And I said, look, as chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources, I'm not interested in hearing people's opinions,
yes,
whether on either side. I'm only interested in scientific evidence. And the process is still very much at an exploratory level. So which means we don't actually have all the answers. Let's explore and let's make those decisions when we get there. But it should be in the best interest of our country and our people who are suffering and waiting for us to deliver economic opportunity. Not because certain cartels or certain people feel like they are not included in whatever opportunity. If I have learned something from our founding president, which is a great value that I think Her Excellency Netumbo Ndaitwah always carry, is the greater good of society. That has always got to guide us.
Now, Doctor, turning specifically to mining, what lessons did the Minerals Commission of Ghana offer in terms of regulation, licensing, and value protection that Namibia could realistically apply?
If you look at mine, they have completely set up an institutional framework which also which is capacitated with the various scientists that has got the capability, first of all, to demarcate processes. Because you have, for example, the Mineral Commission, which is dealing, it's dealing with a lot of managing the issues of regulatory frameworks and proposing to what regulation Parliament needs to bring into or law. And on this side, you have other institutions that are maintaining and managing data really on a higher scale. If you look at our systems here, government relies on private sector to shoot data. Yes, they do shoot data now and again, but on a smaller scale. But they have far lower capabilities in terms of shooting data. So that's why they cannot even bargain better shareholding within licenses, because the investor brings in the seed capital, they bring in the first capital of investment to carry out exploratory framework. When they go into the mining license, they need to recover more of what they have put in, and then your hands are tied because someone has already put in bigger resources there. So we need government to really look at how we can institutionally frame our institution within the same institution, so that There is a clear demarcation and capacitated duties. There are issues that we are not even thinking about. For example, you are dealing with oil and gas today. Yes, you are dealing with, you're actually dealing with upstream, like a petroleum discovery. Now there's a resource, a resource in place that is commercially viable. Are you giving proper support to the market opportunity so that the market can make an investment decision to enter now the production phase? And if we don't do that, you risk drawing back investors, because this is a highly sensitive and risky game. And if you don't act fast, the market opportunity will be lost. But most importantly, as we are talking about upstream petroleum, where are you talking about gas? Because when you are doing production in terms of oil and gas, I mean, the gas comes out. Now, what countries do, like if you go to Saudi Arabia, generally they just flame out the gas. The gas will be flamed out, literally going to waste. We could already be looking at starting a national gas company now already, while we have time to process this oil thing. Start a national gas company, capacitate it so that it can already start harvesting the gas that is going to come out with the crude. Then you use the gas to power Namibia, especially in these times where we are looking at, our neighbors are in load shedding. We are seriously running low in terms of our power capacity and also in terms of our cooking capacity. Then you can now even, expand. Then people don't have to go and cut out woods. You can literally flood the rural communities and the industries with gas, whether it's for cooking or for other industries. But we are not thinking about that. So my proposal would have always been, while you're talking about upstream petroleum discovery, now start a national gas company already. That's why you have, for example, a situation where you have Ghana Gas, a very dynamic multi-million-dollar corporation employing thousands and hundreds of Ghanaians and adding value to the economy in all ways and purposes. I was really fascinated by just the thinking capability within that market, and I feel we can emulate the same thing. And the president is talking about it every day,
Doctor, how will this benchmark visit change the way your committee exercise oversight when ministries or regulators appear to fall short of protecting Namibia's natural resources?
That is probably one of the most key important aspects that we have picked up when we are there, is that MPs are empowered, because remember that members of parliament are the representative of the Namibian people, because people went out there to vote. They went out in a dual election. On one side, you are voting for the president. On one side, you are voting for the National Assembly. That's why it's national and presidential. So they are the representative of the Namibian people. And we need to create a stronger institution of parliament in itself. Because if you look at the Constitution, it's talking about a triple branches, main branches of state. You have, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. We need to ensure that the legislature is capacitated in terms of knowledge, in terms of tools of trade, in terms of a properly employed structural capability and support system, research support system, and so that we are able to hold people to account. Because as a member of parliament, need to hold someone who is involved in any natural resources and not acting in the best interest of Namibia, need to hold them to account. We need to subpoena those people. We need to summon them, if so required, subpoena them, and if they don't come, we need to have them picked up by the police, and we need to stop some of the reckless lack of absolute care and accountability, because they have strong monitoring system from parliament. Parliament is just doing its job in a way that members of parliament are very much aware of their infinite of their infinite responsibility and sacred responsibility to the people of Ghana. They don't play games there.
Dr. Openi, thank you so much for your time and for being with us here on Namibia Connects.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate coming in, and Merry Christmas to your viewers too.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Namibia, that was the chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources, who just returned to the country following a benchmark study visit to the Republic of Ghana that happened between the 8th and the 12th of December 2025. One thing we can take away from what he said is that you must be a risk taker, and it's important for Namibia to educate themselves about what's available, especially when it comes to market. Go out there, because Her Excellency the President said we should benefit from what rightfully belongs to us.